Welcome to Pushing the Limits, the show that helps you reach your full potential, with your host, Lisa Tamati. Brought to you by lisatamati.com.
Welcome back, everybody. This week I have another running podcast for you, another fantastic runner. This is one of our athletes and actually now one of our coaches, Andrew McCrory. And Andrew just managed to run the length of New Zealand. Absolute amazing feat. I know what it takes to do that. It's bloody hard. So I was really enjoying this episode today with Andrew and sharing his insights. So I hope you get something great out of this conversation with a very cool guy who's just your everyday person doing something epic, raising money for Cerebral Palsy along the way. So fantastic episode. Hey everybody, and welcome to Pushing the Limits. Today I have Andrew McCrory with us. So fantastic to have you, Andrew. And today it's all about running. Surprise, surprise. Mate, how are you?
I'm really good, thanks, Lisa. Real good.
Oh, you're just a bit of a legend. Now, Andrew, you've done something absolutely epic recently, and I know how epic because I did it a decade or so ago. And you've just run through New Zealand.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy, mate.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into the New Zealand run story, where you come from, what you do, and why the hell would you get into doing something so crazy?
So, I'm 47 years old, married with a couple of kids who've grown up now. I'm a full-time gigs at Polytech tutor, preparing students for police and defence force. Part-time gig is at Peak Fitness and Health, working with Neil Wagstaff.
Legend.
And yeah, why I got into it was I injured my back back in 17. Did a disc, did L5S1 disc, and then a couple of surgeries later ended up getting that fused and thought I'd start running again.
Thought you'd start running again.
Yeah.
Aren't you meant to not do so much running after fusing discs, apparently?
Yeah, well, the surgeon said I can basically do what I want as long as it doesn't cause any injury. So that didn't. So yeah, let's go.
So have you always been into sport? Like, were you a super sporty youngster and, young guy?
No, not at all. I was the last cross country I did at school, I walked the whole way. I hated it. And yeah, then I joined the army when I was 19. So I was in there as a vehicle mechanic for 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
I was assistant physical trainer in there as well, which
wow. Yep.
I used with the whole fitness bars. I really got into it and it was cool. I'd had knee surgery on both knees as well while I was in there. And when I left, that's it. No more running, no more dumb stuff. And
because it's pretty hardcore being a physical trainer in the army, eh? It's not a walk in the park.
No, it's not. No, it's pretty full on. So, and then, but when I left, I did pretty much nothing. I went farming, so I was pretty fit doing that.
Yep.
And a little bit of CrossFit, and that's where I stuffed my back.
Yeah.
I was never going back to that. That led me into the running.
Wow. So how long ago did you start, proper, longer distance running? So what year was that?
About 2.5 years ago.
Gosh, that's not that long, is it?
No.
Okay, like you don't do things by halves, Andrew. I remember you when you joined us at Running Hot Coaching, and here's a super enthusiastic, fantastic community member who I was just loved watching all your videos and stuff, and it really put you on the map. You're just so enthusiastic about everything, which I really, really loved. And then we got to know you a little bit more, and obviously working with Neil on the other side of the island, and one thing led to another. And then one day you rang me on the phone. God, how long ago was this? I remember I was at the hairdressers. It must have been a fair while ago. and you're like, I want to run through New Zealand. I'm like, okay. And you wanted the ins and outs of what's it all about. And I thought, well, I'll give it to you straight, I'll give it to you the real stuff. Here's the shit that you're going to have happen. You go through the troubles, the side is on the fundraising, the sponsorship side, the logistics, the safety, the whole shebang, as I saw it, after my experience. And then afterwards I got off the phone and I thought, oh, that wasn't very positive. I hope I didn't, but I didn't want you to, just because I have had quite a few people ring me over the years and say they want to run through New Zealand, and 99% of them have hit the wall somewhere before they've even started, or very early on in the piece. And so I didn't want you to go in unprepared. I want you to have, hey, this is the worst case scenario. Can you deal with that? And you were just like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, I've got that. And I'm like, okay. So Andrew, you went ahead. Yep. Much to my surprise, and you actually, not that I didn't think you were capable or anything, but I just know what it takes to do this stuff. Yep. What was it like? What did you do? What was the whole story behind it?
Yeah, well, for a start, you didn't tell me it was going to be that bad on about day 3.
Yes, I did. I said early on it'll be absolutely diabolical.
It was worse than diabolical, I think. No, it was all good. So I guess the main reason I wanted to do it was I've been fundraising for kids with cerebral palsy since I started doing my ultras.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and it has been really cool journey doing that and seeing these kids and helping them out. And I was like, no, I'm raising a little bit here and a little bit there, so let's just do something massive. And after reading your books, I'm like, well, in New Zealand, there's not anything bigger than running the length of the country.
Yeah.
So let's just do that.
Let's just do that.
And so we just did it.
You just signed up and worked it out along the way, which I really, really love. And neither you nor I are the fastest athletes on the planet. We set no records, and it wasn't ever about that for me, and it wasn't about that for you, and it was about raising money for charity and doing something epic, as far as your own sporting achievements go. Which was the case. So how many months did it take you to prepare for this?
Well, I guess I sat down with Neil and we worked it out, and he goes, how many Ks a day do you want to do? And I said, probably about 80. And he went, you're an idiot.
I said that to you, don't do that.
Yeah. I've had a few people say it to me. So we settled on 50K a day. And
that's doable.
So I've been training for a 100-mile run anyway, the 24-hour Blue Lake Challenge. And that was the end of September. And then I just went from that into, so what did I have, 2 months or something? October, November. So I had to
you'd already been
Blue Lake and then straight into New Zealand on December the 5th.
Well, and you'd already had a lot of ultras in that experience. We have to, caveat this, that people don't think you can prepare to run through New Zealand in 2 months. You've done a lot of training in this, and you've come from a background of hard artists, I like to call it. You don't actually have to have a background in running necessarily. You have to have a background in being a hard ass in some way, shape or form. You have to know what it is to hit and to push through. And when you've been in the army for that long and done what you've done, you sort of know a little bit about what it takes in the mental side of the game. So tell us a little bit about then day one, you're standing at the start line. What's going through your head?
Day one, I was pretty excited, actually, probably a bit overexcited. And we started, because we couldn't do from the top down because of COVID and that. We started at Hawke's Bay. So we started at the top of Tomato Peak, which is probably the most iconic spot here. And I had a heap of people there. It was pretty awesome. Had my mate Shane do a karakia, and boom, we're away. And it was all downhill for a few Ks, and it was pretty exciting. And I had
a bunch of people.
It's some of my mates running with me, and they were all gone by 17 Ks. And it was really cool. And then it all turned to custard after that. basically.
17 Ks in.
Yeah. So it was kind of bizarre because, 50 Ks and it was a good day. It wasn't too hot. And I was like, sweet, that's just a warm up for me. Let's just cruise into it. And it just didn't go like that.
Yeah. What happened?
I spewed up everything at about 30K.
Was the excitement and going a bit too fast? And
And I rang Neil that night. So I battled through the next 20K on jet planes because, couldn't stomach
nothing
anything.
else.
No, it was awful.
Those good old jet planes.
And we finished up. I rang Neil and he goes, "Oh, you're an idiot. You haven't stopped before you started."
Yeah.
So I'd finished work and I'd just gone up and up and up and up and then start.
Yeah, I did the same.
He said to me, making the same mistakes that Lisa's made.
Yeah.
You need to listen.
Poor Neil.
Yeah, I know. And then, and once I got that, I came to grips with that. It was about the worst 50K I think I've ever run.
Wow.
It was awful. I was cramping. Even my hands were cramping.
Oh, shit.
It was awful. And I battled through that the next probably 4 days just because I was in such deficit. And then it was 30.
So your electrolytes were probably way up the shit. I mean, if that's happening when your hands start going, that really concerns me. I'm glad I didn't know that on the day because, that's a sign of tetany seizures coming, like that can get to that point. So you were obviously really low on electrolytes. Andrew, what the hell?
I know.
You know about electrolytes.
Yeah. I was drinking, my electrolytes that I have are awesome. They are super good. I never cramp. I think my body just went, holy shit, what are you doing? And the whole enormity of it.
Yeah.
And it's, once I sort of had worked through that and I was trying to eat and I took a wee video at one stage. I was on the top of a hill. It was so hot. The road was sticky. And I was drinking my electrolyte out of my Camelback and I just chucked it all back up again.
Yep.
And I was like, I need to drink this or I'm going to die, basically. So I was forcing it down and I was chucking it up and forcing it down and more stayed down than up. And I just had to keep pushing through.
You didn't have the Endurolite tablets or anything like that. Like tablets I found a lot easier, by the way. We didn't have that conversation. But when you're really having trouble with the gut and you keep bringing it back out, I find just water and electrolytes. Actually, I just had a guy on the podcast last week, Andy Blow, talking from Precision Fuel and Hydration, and he was talking about sweat tests. I'd be interested now to get one for me and for you. I bet you've got a high sweat rate, like you probably put out a lot of sodium, and that's maybe why you had that deficit to begin with. But okay, so that's a bit scary. Day one, shit's not going well.
Yeah.
But like, and I get it because you're so busy in the prep phase, Like when I did the run through New Zealand, I'd just done Death Valley, had gone to the Commonwealth Champs in England, 24-hour racing, like 6 weeks later. And then I'd come back and I've just launched a book, like literally the week before. And I'm doing like book tour stuff and marketing and speaking and blah, 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 getting sponsors and then getting, crew down to the South Island. And I got to the start line and I was just like, oh shit, I actually have to run 2000 just because you've just been so busy in the busyness of it. You actually hadn't comprehended what the hell you were doing, and then your body just goes nah.
Pretty much.
Wow. And you didn't go like, oh my god, and throw the towel in at that point. So what happened after that, or day two?
So day two we were straight into hills. So it was heading up towards Wairau and it was just up and down. I was jumping over the barrier because it's logging trucks and stuff. The road's tight. It was just crazy. And it was 33 degrees.
So that's brutal.
Yeah, it was brutal. My feet had a major blowout as well. So the whole ball of my left foot was just a blister and that had popped and it was horrendous. The right foot hadn't popped, but it was all blister. And that's something I've sort of struggled with.
Yep.
And I'm still working around it. So
you've got shoes that are big enough? Because your feet swell, eh? This is part of the problem.
Yeah, and the shoe clinic has been massive helping me with those.
Yep.
They've been looking after me since I started, really. I think I'm mad, but that's okay. I'm used to that now.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah, we just taped up, and my wife was with me the whole way. She's a nurse, so
amazing.
She was, looking after me.
So actually, what does your wife think about all this craziness? Like, obviously, she's behind you. She's supporting you and there all the way. And it's brilliant to have a nurse on staff, so to speak. Well, what does she think about? Or is she just used to your nuttiness? Yeah,
she's a bit used to it now, I suppose. But no, she's met some of the kids I've helped and stuff. And we, the first kid we helped, Livy, we're good friends with her parents and her now, and because they live local. And she just, sees the whole benefit in what I do. And it's not what I do, it's what we do, because I can't do what I do without her. So she's just part of the team. And she's probably got a better head on her shoulders than me. So, if I'm eating shit really bad, she'll just call it.
Yeah.
And she'll tell me I'm an idiot and this is what I need to do. Which is good, because other people would be like, oh no, you need to stop now. You need to just sit there. She's like, suck it up, cupcake.
Hard us. Yeah. You need that, because you need, and having a nurse on staff is actually really a good thing, because I always had my friend Megan Stewart with me on a lot of the stuff, and she's a paramedic, and I trusted her to make calls when it was really getting bad, so you want someone to kick your ass when you're being a wimp, and you need some toughening up, but you also need someone to call it when you're really in trouble, and you won't give up because you're just too much in the zone, and you're going to kill yourself. So that sometimes it's really, really good to have that outside party that can call it. And and sometimes it's hard when it's your partner. I remember with Hazley, my husband, doing Northburn 100, and at 70 k's he was up on the mountains. It was the middle of the night, there was a storm, it was freezing. He rang me on the phone. I'm race director down the bottom, and he's in total fear, like he's scared shitless. It's black as the inside of a cow. It's going 100k an hour winds. He's lost. He's and I'm just like, oh, my husband, come home. I just want you to come home and chuck it in and just come down, right? And that was a bad call, because then I was not being coach, I was being wife. And so he did end up not making that one, and he regretted it for the next 10 years or whatever we're up to now, 5 years. And he had to go and do other hundreds and stuff to get that out of his head, So sometimes it's not good to, your partner can be too soft or too hard, sometimes, but yours sounds like a hard ass too.
Right. Cat's ex-army as well, so she's,
Oh no.
She knows the deal.
Yeah.
But you did right there, because when I did around Lake Taupo a couple of years ago, same thing. I just, for whatever reason, I was chucking up, and I just wanted to have a lie down for 5 minutes. And so I did that. She goes, right, get up. I was like, oh, no, I just feel like crap. She goes, get up. You're harder than this. Let's go. So, okay.
Yeah.
Off I went again.
They get you over that hump, because there comes a time in every race, or pretty much every race, where you're just like, that's it, I can't go anymore. You sit down, you bawl your eyes out, you vomit somewhere in the gutter, and then you're like, that's it, me done. And then somebody goes, come on, mate, just take one more step, get your ass up off the ground, take another step and go again. And if they can get you, I remember a friend did this for me, Chris Ward, in the Himalayas. And I was 222k race, right, in the extreme altitude with temperatures from 0s to 40s and, and back. And on the second night, we'd been out there for 45 odd hours, and it was in the middle of a snowstorm. I couldn't breathe. I had asthma, and we were up at 5,000 something meters at that point, and I was just like, I can't take another step, and I sat down in the ground at 10 o'clock at night in the snowstorm and just bawled my eyes out and said, that's it, I'm done. And all the guys came around and they went, that's okay, we're so proud of you, you've done so much, and oh my God, we've seen what you've been through, and you've fought. And they just gave me permission to fail. And then one guy, Chris, comes over and he's going, no fucking way, excuse my French. And he didn't slap me, but I could tell he wanted to. He was a gentleman, didn't do that. But he just picked me up and he said, move, and I'm going to stay here with you every step of the way up the top of this pass. And him and one of the other guys did that. And they talked me over that hump and they got me up to the top, and then I was away. I knew that I was going to make it, right? But they just got me over that point of no return almost, And sometimes you need a mate to do that, hey?
Yeah,
and that's it's obviously what your wife does.
Yeah, she does, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yep.
So that was day 2. So things aren't going well. You've got blisters, you've been vomiting, you've got cramps, you've got issues up the wazoo. At this point, I remember on the run through New Zealand, it was horrific. That first week was just horrific. And I'm going, how the hell am I going to make it when I'm already dying? And it's that week 1 or day 1, like from day 1, it was shit. And you just have to really pull in your horizon, don't you? Like what you're doing. So how did you cope with that?
I just, I guess I just got through my head that it doesn't matter how long it took me to do 50K, whether it took me 5 hours or whether it took me 20 hours, it didn't matter. I could only do what I could do. And then by the time I came to grips with that, I was like, okay. So, because when I started, I was like, right, I was treating it like a race.
Yeah, I got this time. And
let's go, change my water. Come on, I've got to keep going. And then when I got through that, I actually started to really enjoy it. And I was like, sweet, this is awesome. And I was thinking, well, I've put all this out on Facebook and Instagram, what I'm doing. And I had some sponsors on board and I had these kids, and I'm just like, if I pull out, I'm going to be the biggest loser ever, And I just
laughing.
I just can't. So true. But it would just, it would have destroyed me basically.
Yeah. And you knew that the consequences would be huge. Yeah.
And it's just like, and there'll be all those people out there going, I told you so.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, nah, screw you guys. I'm just going to do as much as I can and we'll just get it done.
And isn't that the stupidest thing though? Like and it's a good negative motivation. Like it's when you're fear of failing, it is basically, and you don't want somebody to laugh at you because you failed. Like to me, anybody who has a crack at this stuff's awesome. I don't care whether they make it or not make it. To be honest, anybody who has that attitude of he didn't make it type thing is an asshole, and they can F off, really. I've got good language today, haven't I? But it gets you really angry because people who are putting themselves out there on the line to do something epic and for good and for their own sporting achievement as well deserve to be congratulated for giving it their all, because sometimes there are times when things do go wrong and you don't make it. And it's going to happen, especially in ultramarathoning. That happens to us all. There was one race I did in the Himalayas where I was doing it with this other guy who was a mountaineer, and we weren't getting on. And then I got altitude sickness as we got up there, and we've been training for a year and a half. I had documentary, had the bloody, Sir John Kirwan on the doco and the Prime Minister, and it was just massive pressure. And then I got altitude sickness and I could not even start. I couldn't even tie my shoelaces. I was so sick. That was to me like a huge humiliation. And I know I beat myself up about it for a long time. It's actually where I got to know my husband afterwards, because he picked up the pieces really, and he was like, "You're okay, and you don't need all those people, and it doesn't matter, And it's all about you're the one that you're pushing the limits, and sometimes it's going to go pear-shaped." And I thought, you're a pretty cool dude. I might hang out with you. Married him a little bit later. But like it's really important that you use that motivation, because that fuel on that fire is like, no, I'm not going to let them win. It will keep you going no matter what, won't it?
100% it will, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So you went through this phase of like absolute chaos at the beginning as you get, and your body has to get into a rhythm and a habit, and it becomes like a day at the office after a while.
Yep. It did.
So what was that transition like?
Yeah, it was good. And about day 6, I ran out of Gisborne, and I had another guy running with me who I met him at a rest area running up there. And he was a real cool guy, Wade Brunt. He's works in the logging industry doing mental health and well-being. So he ran with me 30 Ks out of Gizzy. And then after that, we had, at the end of that day, a good mate of mine, Chris Townley, who does the Blue Lake Challenge. He turned up because he saw that I was dying. Because we've got to go and see him.
Got to go and support him.
Yeah. So him and his wife did. And it was, I think about then was the turning point. I was like, actually, I'm okay. It's, and they were like, wow, you're moving pretty good for someone that's just run 300 odd K.
Yeah.
And I was like, yep. And then it was just get up in the morning, go to work, run 50K, recover, and do it all again. And we had so many people come out and support and toot and wave, and that was just it was just really cool. And it was okay after that.
That's awesome. And as you got on, did you feel like I found my absolute low point at about 2 weeks in, and I was running 70K a day.
Yeah.
And after 2 weeks, I just could not hold that. I just, like I had shin splints and ripped hamstrings, and, I had a rash all over my body, and I was just in bad shape. Couldn't even walk down hills, or had to, like my legs were toast. And I had to make that decision, my one, to go drop down to 50 from there, or 50, 55 around there for the next while. And that was that's plays with the head, because you'd set out to do 70, right? But I got to the point too where I was like, I just have to finish. That's my biggest priority. And okay, it's going to take me a few days longer, but that's better than quitting right now, and it was getting pretty to the point where the body wasn't coping. And of course, 70 Ks a day is what the top dudes do, the ones like Ray Sahab and, Dean Kardassis and, that, have run across continents or whatever. And so that was my goal, to be at that level. But I had to just come to terms with that. And to be fair, like I was speaking at 5 schools a day, and I was doing book launches at night. I wasn't just focusing on running. And I was getting so slow that the 70 Ks was taking me up to 18 hours.
Wow.
So it just comes down to a point where you have to be able to get enough sleep to be able to get up a few hours later and go again. And so that was, my sort of journey. So where did your route actually take you? So you went up through Gisborne, and then did you go up to the top of the North Island or something, and then back down the other way or something?
Yeah, went up from Gizzy, went up the Waiaweka Gorge, all the way up to Tauranga. Up through there, and then back down to Rotorua and across the State Highway 1, and then straight down a bluff. So it was I just mapped out, it was about Plan Z.
The equivalent, Yep,
the equivalent. So I'm already thinking I'll go and run from where I finished when I popped out on the State Highway 1, I'm going to go and run that back up to Cape Vianga. So
same difference, like same distance, like it's no different. And and you just got to do, again, in this COVID world and the situations that we're all in, you got to do what you got to do. You got to make things work, and life isn't perfect, so you just make the thing as you go. And what about the fundraising side of it? Because you're fundraising for the cerebral palsy kids, and did they come out and visit you too, partly on the course, and how did that all go?
I had a few people. To be honest, strangely, most of them live in Auckland.
Oh yeah. So that was that was
that stuff. So we set a goal of 20 grand, and I thought in the world we live in at the moment, and it's Christmas time.
Yeah,
Money's
it's hard
pretty
to raise money now.
It is really hard. So we'd made half of that by about day 12.
Wow.
And I was just like, wow, this is crazy. And then we got down south, and One News came and saw me, and boom, we went up 20 grand in 2 hours.
So
it was
power of media, right?
Oh, it was just insane. It was really cool. And then the second to last morning, I took my video. I was doing a video every morning, every night when I finished, and I just about lost it because we'd just cracked the 40 grand mark.
Oh, that's
and I was
amazing.
videoing. I was like, oh, I've got to go now. Turned it off and started running. And yeah, we've made over 50 grand.
That's just beautiful. That's really, like, take my hat off to you, because I remember talking on that phone call that we were on prior, and I said to you, you know, I had grand delusions of raising more than $500,000, blah blah blah, and because I thought that the effort would be proportional to what you earned, right? You know, like, you're doing something massively difficult. But I said to you, you know, like, an All Black can put up his jersey and earn more than you're going to earn. Yeah. You know, and that's the unfortunate world. It's not about the epicness of what you're attempting to do. It's about how famous you are as to how much money you'll get and how much publicity you can get. And if you're not a big name, then you're not going to get as much publicity, and that will make it a hell of a lot difficult. So I was disappointed in the amount that I was able to raise. I think we raised something like 90,000 or something, but that was a massive effort by a big team. But there was like nothing, like, you know, I thought that was a failure, you know, in a way. But now, if you think, that's 10 years ago too, when it was a lot easier to get traction on social media, right? Now on social media, every man and his dog's doing something for some charity, something all the time. It's really, really tough to get that pull through. So the landscape has changed. And so to raise that amount of money in today's day and age without being, I don't know, Richie McCaw, is pretty amazing, you know? So well done you. That's bloody awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, we're just blown away by it, eh? And like I was running through Timaru with one of the girls' mums, and her daughter had the surgery in the stage, cerebral palsy and that. And so she came out to support me in that, and it was really cool. And there was a guy standing on the street corner with his daughter and waiting for me. And his daughter was disabled, and he goes, look, you know, what you're doing is incredible. Here's $50, you know. I was just, you know, there was things like that just blew me away.
Yeah,
you know, he's got his own hardships.
Yeah.
What that family's going through, and then he's still willing to donate. And that's what I found. It's usually the people with the least will donate the most, eh? You know, because they get it.
Because they get it. They get the struggle. And it really, it does reinforce your belief in humanity, because we can get pretty damn cynical in the world that we're living in, and it's sad, you know, how terrible things can be. And then you get, on the other hand, just amazing people doing amazing things. And it's just, you know, giving and caring. So, you know, it's just a really beautiful thing. Hey, when you were preparing for this, I remember we did our epigenetics with you. Our program that we do with understanding your genetics. Did that play a part in what in your preparation and your understanding of your body and so on?
Yeah, it did. It was really interesting. So yeah, both me and my wife Kath did it. And Neil had been at me for a little bit about giving up coffee. I really didn't want to. So when I did my epigenetics, it came up, ditch the coffee, and I was like, damn you, Neil.
Damn you, right?
Yeah, so I ditched the coffee, and
that's not for everyone, by the way. That's just
depends
on your genetics.
Coffee. But it was one thing I should give up, and it just it made a huge difference just in my day to day, and that kind of thing. And to be honest, I was very similar to my body type anyway. I'm a crusader. I'm exactly the same number as Neil.
Yeah, 70 crusader. Woohoo.
Yeah. And the food that I should be eating, I was eating anyway.
Yeah.
I made some minimal changes, and it was telling me when I should train, and that was about the same time that I was training anyway. So
you had intuitively done a lot of things right. Yeah.
So I didn't need to make any huge changes. It just confirmed that what I was doing it was right. Yeah.
Massive. Yeah, and things like not too much cold foods and cooking your foods and having some digestive issues usually if you're a crusader and things like that, and understanding those and the cramping side of things. So perfect aminos is another thing that we put into the mix of your training, which is a product. I had Dr. David Minkoff, who is the founder of the Perfect Aminos, and he was talking about, athletes and protein and their amino acids and how important they are to get that right combination. And as an athlete in my career, I'd always taken branched chain amino acids, which are only 3 different types of amino acids. And then when I came across the Perfect Aminos, this is a blend that has 99% utilization in the body, and that's a real key factor. So like, amino acids are basically, for people who don't know, are the building blocks of protein. So when you have a steak, it's broken down into amino acids, singular amino acids, which are then absorbed into the body. And so that it's not like 48% or so. Like if you have a steak, it's 48% of that's actually utilized. Sorry, I got my brothers just turned up. So I'm being distracted in the background. Just doing a recording. So only a part of the perfect aminos or a part of a steak is actually absorbed into the body, right? When you have perfect aminos, it's 99% of it's actually getting through, and it's getting through really quickly through the gut lining into the bloodstream very, very quickly, and can help with repair and speed up recovery and all of these sorts of things. So it's been really, really beneficial for athletes. And I remember Neil doing an emergency run to you to get the perfect aminos to you. Did they make a difference to your running?
Yeah, they really did. He brought them over, and I got the bottle right here.
Oh, good man.
So that's it. And I was like, looked at it, 600 tablets in there. And I went, sweet, they'll be nice and small, but they weren't.
Don't know that. We've just got some new ones that we're getting in now that have got a bit of more of a slippery coating on the outside to get it down a little bit easier, because they are a bit chunky, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. But they were brilliant. I was having just little niggles, like my right Achilles was just wasn't sore, but I was like, oh, there's a bit of a niggle there. So I was starting to sort of worry about that. And, apart from that, I was feeling pretty good, but then got onto the perfect amino acids and boom, I had no niggles after that. I was just off recovery. I was getting up in the morning and I was fine.
And you heal quicker, like things like your blisters would have healed quicker, and tendons and ligaments and muscles and all of that stuff that you're using so much when you're doing something like this is just recovering a heck of a lot faster. I had a hamstring injury that I was carrying for about 5 years, and I just could not get rid of it. I was meant to have surgery, but didn't want surgery. Just keep running because you do. And perfect aminos, it took about a month or so, 5 weeks on perfect aminos, and it was gone. It just healed itself, and it's just like, wow. And if you want good hair and good skin and good nails and all those sort of benefits as well, that's really good. And it doesn't turn into sugar in the body. So a lot of the proteins that we have, part of them turns into glucose. It's converted in the body, so that doesn't happen with perfect amino. So if you're having a steak, only half of it will actually become protein, and the rest of it will actually turn into glucose and carbs. So if you on a low carb diet, or you're trying to do keto or something like that, this is a really good thing to actually support the body in that way as well. So If we look back, how many days did it take you to actually run the whole country?
40 days.
40 days, man.
Yep.
And how many kilometers was that you did?
It's about 2,060.
Wow, that's amazing. That's,
and then
that's pretty big.
Then I did an extra half a day over on Stewart Island because I couldn't do the whole lot and not go to Stewart Island. And so
I didn't get Stewart Island.
Nah. Well, I'd been there before. Kath had never been there, so we went right, and it was a beautiful day.
Yeah.
So we shot across, and I did a little run, and I went, "Oh, I'm done. I'm done now.
Tick that box.
I've ticked it. Let's go and get some blue cod."
Some bluff voices.
Yeah, well, there was none in season, so we missed out. But yeah, we got blue cod and chips at the one of the local sort of kai caravans there, and
nice.
Oh, it was so good.
and celebrate actually finishing. And like, so now we're in as we're recording this, we're on 20th of February. So this is now what, eight weeks or something, 7 weeks post race.
I finished 14th of Jan. So
so it's not even that. It's only
5 weeks.
Jeez. And you're feeling really good. You've bounced back, like you've come back really, really well, and you're back into life and work and everything again. How did you transition out from the psychological, it's quite a big transition then not running, 50 Ks a day. When you've been doing that's been your job, and you've been on the road, you've been traveling, all of that sort of stuff. How have you transitioned back into normal life?
I guess I'm still battling with it a little bit, to be honest, because I've gone back to work and I've got my students back, which is awesome. Started back at the gym, and I'm like, I miss the simplicity of just lacing up my shoes, and going, and now we're back into phones,
on
Facebook,
the grid,
work, and it's kind of almost like same shit, different day kind of thing. I'm like, I've done something up here, and now I know I've still got to pay the bills and stuff, pay the mortgage,
unfortunately.
But I really want to go and do other cool stuff. And I just seen the power that average guy that can, just run a long way. That we've changed lives along the way, changed our life, and that, and now I just want to go and do more of that. So I knew there'd be a low coming down off it. So I'm just going to chill for 6 months before I make any rash decisions.
Good. Oh, good. Yeah. I'm glad, because I was, as your coach, I'd like to say, please don't just dive into the next thing, because you have this tendency when you come off the back of something epic that you've just done and you've achieved and you've done so well, to rush into something else because there's a big hole in your life, because you've had this one mission, right? And the singularity of purpose. And then that suddenly is gone, and you're back into the chaos of everyday fight for survival living, just normal living, paying bills and working and everybody wanting a PCO and, the whole shebang. And that was all gone. That was the beautiful thing about ultramarathoning. You only had one problem to solve that day, pretty much, hey? And that was to get your ass across that finish line, 50 Ks away. And that beautiful purity of purpose, I think, as humans, we're missing. In our normal sort of chaotic day-to-day of rushing to work and paying bills and being on the social media and, doing all the stuff that is required now to exist, is making us quite mentally, I think, drained and overwhelmed often. And you only notice that when you step outside and you do something that is pure, the old way of moving your body in nature all day, every day. And that's what our ancestors did, and that's how we developed. And that's why I think it's such a cathartic and spiritual journey almost. Then it's really hard to come back into normal everyday life and just get into it again. So it's very normal to have this, bit of a jigsaw, roller coaster, if you like. And I think what's important though is you don't just dive into the next mission, because that's having done that for many, many years and then completely destroying your health and your body because you are doing things beyond your body does need a recovery now. It has
Yep.
done something that is extraordinary. And whether you feel it, I didn't feel it straight away. I just knew that like a year later, I just didn't have it in me anymore.
Yeah.
And I pushed for another few years of ultramarathon running, but I had never had the same power. I'm not saying that's going to happen to you because I started at 20.
Yeah.
I never had the same power again, and something had broken, and so I was pushing it on and on after that, but I was broken on the inside a little bit, both mentally and physically, because it can be also quite traumatic. Like you've gone through a trauma in a lot of ways because you've not a trauma like a horrible event, but you've gone through thousands of hours of pain.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, it's painful.
Yeah.
And that adds up over a while as to be its own trauma. At least in my life it did. And so you've got to sort of work through that, and when you come from a hard ass background where, you've just got to be tough all the time, I think you need to have that phase of recovery where you actually just put into your body and put into your psyche and give yourself that recovery and actually experience the accomplishment of what you did before you race off to the next accomplishment and big mission, because you actually have to integrate. You ran through New Zealand. You did over 2,000 kilometers in 40 days. You raised $40,000 odd for kids who really need it. Those are epic achievements that you have to integrate into your life now and actually experience that on the inside, when you're sitting quietly and go, well done.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really important that you do before you mission off on the next mission.
Yeah.
That would be my 2 cents of coaching advice for the day.
Yeah.
Andrew, you've been absolutely wonderful today. I really appreciate you, and I love having you in Running Hot. I love having you as one of our coaching people now, and learning and developing with our good mate Neil, who's sort of changed both of our lives and given us the knowledge that we have now and helped guide us through our ultramarathon journeys, both of us. So you're pretty lucky to have him by your side. And is there anything that you'd like to say to anybody who's out there who wants to do something epic for them, whatever that is?
Just, don't be afraid to give it a go, but find someone to help you. And, that's basically what I did.
Yeah, build a team.
Yeah, build a team. Neil and Lisa, you've both been a wealth of knowledge for me. But yeah, you've got to have that support. You have to, because you can't do it alone. Whether it's a half marathon or an ultra marathon, it doesn't matter. You've got to have that good team behind you and seek really good advice from good people. There's that much out there on these, and it's crap. There's a lot of crap out there, basically. But yeah, if you want to do it, you've just got to do it. But do it smart.
And believe in yourself. And
100%.
Did you have any self-doubts? That little voice inside you that goes, "You can't do this. Who do you think you are, Andrew? You can't do that." Did you ever have any of those, or were you already dealt with that in the army? No, I never did. I never woke up in the morning going, I don't want to do this. I woke up going, I don't want to get out of bed yet. Yeah. Oh God, it's morning again.
I want to sleep in. One sleep in, please. No, never. It was, I think I've got the fear of failure is bigger than the wanting to quit.
That's go. And so you have that inner belief in yourself, and that's really so many people don't. So many people struggle with that inner little voice that goes, you're not good enough. You're faking it. You're not the real deal. All of that sort of thing. What do you say to people that are struggling with their confidence but still want to have a crack at something awesome?
Just I'd start small. Celebrate the small wins. So. Yeah, and then build, success breeds success, and then, get a small win here and then, move up to something great. And you will fail along the way. I know I did. I set out to run 100 miles in my first ultra, and it just about killed me. And I ran 115 Ks.
Yeah, that's epic.
And yeah, I was like, oh, failed.
No.
But no, I didn't. And it just took me a little bit to get my head around that as well. Because it's a huge thing. And you just, if you fail, which you will, pick yourself up and do it again.
And it's like that, you set out to do 100 miler and did 115 Ks, but that's a hell of a lot more than the person on the couch who never got off it in the first place. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. When you call 115 Ks a failure, crikey, what does success look like?
Yeah.
You got to change your perspective of it.
Yeah.
Because you've got to go like, that's still like there's only this many people in the world who've ever gone over 100K. Tiny proportion. And so that changes your perspective. Because you didn't finish the race, get the medal. Who gives a shit? You did something epic. You achieved something, and you learned so much. In that journey. And now, when you go and do those things, you know what you're doing, and you can still fail. By the way, because this is pushing the limits, right? This is out on the edge of what you're capable of, and there is this line that you can sometimes cross and not make it, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up for 3 years.
Yeah. And I ran with Terry from Northburn.
Oh, Terry, how is he?
He was really good. I've never met him before.
He's lovely.
He showed up in Taupo.
Oh, he's a hard ass. He's cool.
He's running with me going, you're meant to weigh.
He can talk.
Yeah.
He's the director of Northburn, for everybody who doesn't know, the race that we co-founded back in the day, and he's still running it today. Yeah. And he's mental.
But he goes, there's probably only 20 people that have done the length of New Zealand. He goes, you're in this tiny little group now.
Yep.
And
exactly.
I was like, wow, I thought there'd be heaps more, like lots more. But he goes, no, there's just not.
No, there's a few, and there's a lot. Many of them were faster than us by miles, and we all had slightly different routes and whatever. But it is a very small group. You're right. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It was really cool for him to put it in perspective for me. I was like, wow, okay, because I'm not the fastest. I'm never going to be the fastest.
Nah, me neither.
But
so what?
So what? It doesn't actually matter. It's and that's the cool thing about the whole ultra community is no one cares who's first.
No.
Well, some people do, but mostly it's just everyone's there to support each other and get through the event. It's just
because
really cool.
It's just so difficult and epic anyway. And everybody knows that the slowest person is actually the toughest because they've been out there twice as long. And so there's always this automatic respect for anybody who's crossed the finish line and done it slower. The top guys and girls at the top end of the field, geez, they're genetically gifted, I'm like, yeah, awesome. But I'm more interested in the person at the back of the field who's fought through every obstacle known to man to get there. That's more impressive to me. Who didn't have the genetics, who didn't have all the everything going for them and still did it. They're for me the true heroes of the story.
100%.
Yeah. It's epic. Andrew, thank you so much for your time today. I've really enjoyed having you as a guest on Pushing the Limits, and keep being a legend and a role model for everybody. And I'm so glad that you're going to be coaching with us and helping more athletes do more incredible things. So thanks for your time. Where can people find you? They want to follow you on Instas and all that sort of thing. You're quite entertaining.
I've got a Facebook page running Aotearoa for SDR, which is the surgery that the kids get, or they can find me on Insta, Andrew McCrory, Ultra Runner.
Yep, Andrew McCrory, Ultra Runner. I'll put the links in the show notes. Andrew, thank you so much for your time today.
No, thanks for having me. It's been awesome.